And this is why Jesus has to come. You think Jesus is going to come when his church is doing his job? Jesus has to come because his church ain't doing the job that he commissioned the church to do. When you have the Vatican saying that that members of Sodom can be witnesses to a baptism, and they can be godparents, and they can be involved in witnessing a baptism. So you'll have two men in a church, husband and husband, smiling as a baby is baptized, and that's okay? When you have that sort of thing, how can you say with confidence that the church that Christ built is doing the job that Christ commissioned the church to do? As in the days of Noah. Yes. Why did God do a flood? He did a flood because he had to start over. Because humanity was in the depths of evil. And what does it say in the book of Genesis? The earth was filled with violence. And what did God tell Noah? One of the most profound verses in the Bible. What did God tell Noah? I regret making man. Oh! That hits me in the heart every time. That God could regret something. That God can regret something. I regret making man. The flesh of man has become corrupt. This is what God tells Noah. I regret making humans. And I have to start over because you guys aren't doing your jobs. You guys are not advancing justice. You guys are not advancing mercy. You guys are advancing just the depths of horror. You guys are committing crimes. You guys are not looking after the most vulnerable amongst us. And so God started over, and he said, I'm going to set up a church. Noah, you're the Pope. You're the priest. You have your 3 sons and their wife. Start over. Each one of your sons has a wife. You have a wife. Start over. Here we go. Repopulate the earth. And the earth got repopulated. And you know what happened? The whole world fell into paganism. So God said, okay, I'm going to go to the Semitic world. Went to the Hebrews. Told them to build a temple. They had a temple. And what happened? That temple got overtaken by what? Evil. Evil. And so God said, okay. Gotta leave the tent of Shem. Shem, you're out of the tent. Japheth, you're in the tent. I'm going to give the church now to the Europeans. Christendom. So you had Japheth. And what does it say? What does Noah say to his sons? He says, blessed be the God of Shem. And may God enlarge Japheth. Meaning the Europeans will be a people of empire. And may Japheth dwell in the tent of Shem. Meaning the temple of Shem. And that's what happened. And you had the Vatican. And what does St. Paul say to the Jews in the book of Acts? When they rioted against him, he said, I will go to the Gentiles and they will listen to me. And that is what St. Paul did. He went to the Gentiles. And we got the Vatican. We got Constantinople. We got Moscow. And what happened? The Vatican went to Sodom and Renaissance paganism. Constantinople got overtaken by the Arab Arians, the Turkish Unitarians, I should say. The Muslims took it over and crushed it. And Constantinople had its own corruption. What do we have? Who's fighting Sodom? Out of all of Christendom, who's fighting Sodom? The Africans and the Russians. That's who's fighting Sodom. Not the Vatican. The Vatican is saying members of Sodom can witness a baptism. They can be godparents. Moscow's fighting Sodom. And what happened? You had the first Rome. And in the Second Ecumenical Council, the church said Constantinople's the second Rome. We had the first Rome, that got overtaken by Sodom. You had the second Rome, that got overtaken by Islam. What's the third Rome? It's not America. It's Moscow. Moscow is the third Rome. Russia is the third Rome, everybody. It's the third Rome. I know, there's a lot of messed up things about Russia. I know Russians have done messed up stuff. I know. But I believe that God will do something to bring Russia fully into the fold of Christ. And by that, I mean fully out of the residue of the evils of Lenin that are still there and into the fold of Christ. And you know, and do you know what else I think? I think that in the future, the people in Israel, the Jewish people, will be in such torment and such horror. And the Bible tells us, I think in Zechariah somewhere, the Old Testament tells us that 2/3 of Jerusalem will be wiped out. And I think that Israel will be put through such horror that the people will beg for a Messiah. And what does St. Paul tell us? What does St. Paul tell us? He says the Messiah will not come until the children of Israel ask for the Messiah to come. And I believe that there will be a cleansing of the Jewish people. I think there will be a cleansing of the Jewish people. And by that I mean there will be a redemption of the Jewish people. Not all of them, but a remnant of them in the end. And I think that the Russians and the Jews will unite together in some sublime spiritual manner. And the Vatican, how do I see the Vatican? What do I see in the future of the Vatican? I see flames and destruction. That's what I see. Not in the sense that I'm a prophet, but this is just what I foresee based on my own intuition. Could be wrong, but I think that the future of the Vatican is flames and destruction, just like in 1527, but probably worse. Who will do the destruction? I don't know. Could be the Turks, could be the Germans, could be both. We'll see. 1527, the sacking of the Vatican was done by mainly Germanic Protestants. We'll see. We will see. But God creates and his creation turns against him. God creates a temple and the temple turns against him. God creates a church and the church turns against him. And this is the reality that we have to live with. But it's up to us not to be docile to the point that we fall into indiscriminate obeisance and submission to evil. We cannot say, oh, Francis said it's okay, cross-dressers can be in the church and they can be witnesses, and we can't sit there and be docile to that sickness. Oh, well, they changed the catechism and now they say death penalty is wrong. We cannot say, oh, well, I have to be obedient. I have to be obedient. That is not the mind of someone who wants truth. That is the mind of someone who is a zombie.